Good afternoon. Welcome to our program. I'm your host, Karmel Melamed. We are here today on November the 11th in Los Angeles, California, chatting with Iranian Jewish author Ms. Angella Nazarian. Her new book is Life as a Visitor, and we wanted to chat with her and catch up on a little bit of her motivation in writing the book and some insights about the Iranian Jewish community. Ms. Angela, thanks so much for sitting down with us. Congratulations on your book. I had a chance to read it. I thought it was, fantastic.
Thanks, Karmel, for having me.
Absolutely. This is a really incredible book. You've really gone in and dig deep and given a real personal insights into your own experience growing up in Iran and transitioning here in the U.S. Why did you decide to, make it so personal, bring in family members, tell it in the first person? What was the motivation with that?
Well, I think that anything that takes a personal tone, that is authentic and genuine and feels that it's from the heart, is definitely more connecting to the reader. And my first motivation actually to write this book was because I wanted to leave something behind for my two boys, Philip and Eli, who've been born here. And fortunately, they've always had a sense of stability and security growing up. But I really wanted them to get a sense of what their mom, their father, and also grandparents went through. And as I started writing this in my writing class, everybody was saying, this is a story to share with others. And I really do agree with the opinion that one person's story makes the biggest impact. When you give statistics or when you talk about a group of people, it doesn't have the impact as one person going through an experience. So I wanted to share that with everyone.
Okay. You talk about forging a new identity here in the U.S. A lot of Iranian Jews, and Iranians for that matter, living here in the U.S. struggle with identity. They don't know whether they're Jews, whether they're Iranian, whether they're Iranian Jews, Iranian American Jews. Have you been able to find that identity, and do you think the larger community is finding their identity here in the U.S.?
That's the million-dollar question, actually, Karmel. I think that, what can I tell you? I think we're the first generation to start thinking about our identity in different ways. I think that we've always considered ourselves as Jews. Even in Iran, that was our true identity in the Jewish community. But when we came here, I think in the 1980s especially, for our generation, there was so much shame in being Iranian that many of us had a hard time saying that we were Iranian to our American friends or to the community. At this point, I think one of the other reasons for writing this book was that I want to have a sense of pride for my culture. I think that the Iranian culture is very rich in heritage. And after all, if you don't know your roots, how are you going to look into the future? I think the way I look at my identity now is that I'm a hybrid. I'm Iranian, I'm American, and certainly I'm very much Jewish. And instead of looking at whether I have an Eastern or Western value system, I'd rather really think about what value systems do I want to incorporate in my life, that belongs in my life, that will propel me to grow and have a fuller life. So that's how I look at it now.
In your book, you talk about coming to Beverly Hills. I know a lot of Persian Jews have settled in Beverly Hills. There seems to be a misconception amongst some Americans that all Persian Jews are very wealthy. They were able to bring out huge amounts of money from Iran. Can you shed a little bit of light on that? Because that is not the case.
Definitely it's not the case. As a matter of fact, we have many organizations that try to help Iranian Jews here, that they're struggling and they're trying to make ends meet. This is something that has come up in a number of my book signings and book discussions with the larger community. We get this sense because of the press, or sometimes because of the, some of the lifestyle things of a few families. People get this perception that everything is very glamorous about us. But we're just like any other group in Beverly Hills. We have a whole different range of socioeconomic status and backgrounds. And I think a lot of Persian families came to Beverly Hills because they wanted to do one thing, and that was to provide their kids with top quality education in a public school system. So they did everything possible, even saved their money to make sure that they could provide that for their kids. But by no means are they multimillionaires.
Okay. During the last 30 years, the community, the Iranian Jewish community here in Los Angeles has been very tight-knit. They haven't really ventured out as much. It's seeming to be changing, but still there's a bubble. Do you see that changing? Do you see the new generation moving out of the bubble, becoming more Americanized, becoming more incorporated?
I do think so. I do think so. I think one of the reasons, because of us being so tight-knit, has been because we have been exiles. I always talk about the identity of an exile versus an identity of an immigrant. An immigrant is a person who decides to leave a country and go somewhere else. But with Iranians, many of us left at the spur of the moment without ever knowing if we're going back. So we hold on to these idealized versions of what Iran is, and if we ever go back again. So in being here, we hold on to what we know. I think our generation, and certainly your generation, who's a bit younger, is really poised to become very active in all areas of life in the larger American culture. When I look at people such as you, or 30 Years After organization, or even Looking Beyond, which is another charitable organization that raises funds but really disperses those funds to organizations right here, to services right here. I do think that in the next 10 to 20 years, you see that the younger generation will have such a major impact on the general culture of Los Angeles, certainly.
Thanks so much, Ms. Angela, for sitting down with us, chatting with us. Again, congratulations on your book, Life as a Visitor, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.